Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Top Producers Nation podcast. This, of course, is the podcast that is made for agents who are committed to being top producers in their desired market. We are powered locally by the Tampa Bay Real Producers local franchise here, where we put on a ton of events for the top 500 producing agents in the Tampa Bay market, as well as have a monthly magazine, which is called Tampa Bay Real Producers. featuring them and telling their stories of how they became top producers. Many of you know, if you follow our show, that we bring a lot of those top agents on the show to dig in a little deeper to their stories, but we also have partners who support our platform, and we also bring them on our show, and we have one of those partners today. As part of our partner series, that is Jennifer Motsinger, who is the business development, let's say coordinator, manager, handles business development for Gilk, which is obviously one of our preferred partners here with Tampa Bay Real Producers. So Jennifer, it's good to have you on the show. How are you?
So much for having me.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm excited to dive in a little bit to your story for people who might not know much yet about you or about Gilk. Obviously, you have a cool background being from Tampa initially, so we'll kind of start there a little bit with that background. I think you were born and raised here. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
Cool.
Went to Bloomingdale High School and USF. So
local yokel.
Yep.
And then what was your background in terms of your business experience that eventually found your way to Gilk?
That is an interesting question because it has nothing to do with building whatsoever. I actually got involved in politics at a very young age. And so I was running a lot of campaigns, working on a lot of public policy. And one day my predecessor came to me and said, would I know anybody interested in handling governmental affairs for the Builders Association?
Okay.
And at first I didn't know what that was. And then I quickly realized how exciting that opportunity would be. And
this
so
is the TBBA, right?
It
Tampa
is the
Bay
Tampa
Builders
Bay
Association.
Builders Association. Yep. So I started working there over 20 years ago, and I was at the helm for almost 20 years.
Wow.
So I've seen the high highs, the low lows. I've been very blessed to work with a lot of candidates and influence a lot of public policy as it relates to the American dream of home ownership. And after that, I decided to just test different things and always love this industry. And so when I found some folks at Gilk that wanted to expand and get into new construction because their legacy was really major home remodels, I was very intrigued, and it's been a great fit, and it's been an exciting journey to see what it's like on this side of the business, especially after representing the industry for so many years.
Yeah. So in your 20 years there with the TBBA, I know you were president for how long?
17 years.
Oh, wow. So it was
executive
the majority.
vice president.
Okay, cool. So you had a leadership role over there for an extended period of time for sure. As the executive president, what was your main responsibility, or what were your main focuses there at TBBA?
Governmental affairs. So I ran the daily operations. So yes, my job incorporated special events, programming, membership, but the main focus has always been advocating for this highly regulated industry. So I worked a lot with local governments and as well as state and federal governments. Everything, you name it, from permitting and inspections to
all the fun stuff.
Stormwater, absolutely. Just exciting topics. Well, they're exciting to me.
So you were basically, would you consider yourself like a voice for the builders?
I was the voice of the builders.
At that time. That makes sense.
I seem to continue to do that no matter what seat at the table I have. It's just I find that your talent, and everybody's got a unique talent, will not necessarily be the same throughout your career, but it will certainly be part of who you are. And I think that is much more important to be your authentic self and just let that travel with you instead of trying to figure out a specific direction for a career path.
Yeah, I love that. And it makes sense to me why Gilk would want to have you as involved with them, knowing your background and your experience and working with, so many builders in the market, plus the reputation that comes with that locally. How many builders are members of TBBA?
When I left, there was almost 1,800 members. So it is the unless something drastically changed, I grew it to the 5th largest association of its type in the United States. It's very much like realtor associations.
Sure.
So it services that part of the industry. So.
And those 1,800 members were all Tampa Bay based?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And is that like Hillsborough County, Pinellas County?
And Pasco.
Those 3 counties make that up.
Yep.
Interesting. And that's not including the non-builders that are what were they called?
They were,
Vendors or
yeah.
partners
So
or
you do have two different types of membership.
yeah,
You have builders and then you have associates. There's always going to be more associates
right,
than there are builders.
right.
So that is a total
Of
of,
both.
yeah.
Got it. Okay. And so how much interaction, and we're obviously going to talk about your experience directly now with Gilk, but with that role that you had, was most of your association in contact with builders, or was it with the affiliates, or a little bit
My
of both?
Because of the type of work that I do, uh, it was mostly interacting with builders,
Yeah.
developers, but there's some associate members that are also servicing that side of the industry, such as your consultants, like engineers or attorneys.
Sure.
So I interacted with a lot of those types of folks,
Yeah.
and my primary job was just interacting with local government and interacting with state government, because that is really there are the home building,
That's a whole
and
different dynamic in and of itself.
it really is.
Right.
And no two organizations will have the same philosophy. So
Right.
for example, builder A, if they're depending on the type of building that they're doing, they're going to have a completely different mindset and set of expectations and priorities than builder B.
Sure.
So it was an interesting dynamic to try and manage those expectations just from an internal standpoint, and then getting what we wanted from a standpoint of interacting with the local government, because there's only four components to building a house:
Right.
land, materials, labor, and regulations.
Okay.
And in this area, consistently, 25% of the cost of a home is directly related to the regulatory side of things. So whether that be impact fees or tariffs or
And that's the stuff the builders are going to want to try to eliminate or minimize as much as possible.
at least have a voice,
Right.
because everything does trickle down. And we know, if you can get a permit out in 30 days versus 4 months, that's certainly going to provide more certainty and cost. So that's really what it's about, is trying to provide certainty and trying to make sure that any regulatory, and by the way, it's a highly regulated industry for a reason.
Sure.
So it's important. But we just want to make sure that it's not burdensome.
Totally.
Or, most of the time, it doesn't matter what the codes say, there's going to be some contradiction in there. And so we want to minimize that.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Did you have, I'm assuming you had all different types of builders that were part of the association. So you had
Everything
your
from
track
Lennar,
builders to
yep,
your normal, your custom home builders, your
absolutely,
luxury specialists,
yep,
like are there different classifications that you
and
would
remodeling,
remodeling
yeah,
for sure?
yep.
Yeah. So you had all
But
that. Yeah.
the only thing that we didn't really service in a big way is commercial and industrial. But
Okay.
anything related to housing, absolutely.
Makes sense. Did you find in your role that depending on the type of builder that they were, a Lennar as an example compared to maybe a Gilk, right? Like
Mhm.
a more of a custom home builder, did they have different requirements, requests, things that they were hoping you'd fight for?
Absolutely. So I'll give you a great example. Lennar, they're they want certainty in the market, of course, but they're trying to deliver a product as fast as they can and with consistency, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
It's the
impact
Henry Ford
fees,
assembly mindset. Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
So impact fees are going to be a big deal for them.
Yep.
Impact fees are not necessarily going to be a big deal for a custom home builder
Right.
or somebody that's on your own lot. That is very different. What they all have in common is consistency in permitting, consistency in inspections, and uh, that is a lot of what I did. So
Mm-hmm.
that translated very well to what I do now, because I have a lot of that. It's all in my head. So however I can help somebody in the industry, and that's why I enjoy what I do with Gilk so
Yeah.
much, is because I get to help not just the builder, but I get to actually help the client,
Yep.
the home buyer.
Get into that's ultimately the goal, really, at the end, right? Is get that dream home made right and make
Yes.
sure that the client is satisfied.
Yeah.
In your, again, experience with back to TBA and even with Gilk now, what did you find the role of the real estate agent to be in that organization, if at all? Were they actively involved generally? Did you find that many of them who were doing certain things really well? What was your experience in just the perspective and the role of the real estate agent in that world?
Sure. Well, the role of realtor in home building world is really critical. I would say that it's a love-hate relationship, because builders are, if it's a great market, then sometimes they feel like they don't need realtors as
Right.
much. I don't find that to be
It's
true.
always the yin and the yang, right?
Yep,
Right.
yep. But I've seen
They
it.
come begging when they need them, and then they
Oh
kick them to the
yeah,
curb when they
in
don't.
2005, it was a very different story than in 2010.
Right.
So, it should be a very symbiotic relationship,
Sure.
because the realtors, I mean, they're the ones that are, I don't want to say they're in the trenches, they're in the neighborhoods.
Sure.
And they're the ones that have uh, the clients, and they have the client's trust. So why wouldn't you want to work with a realtor and develop those relationships? I find that they're extremely important to my work.
Yep.
And the market is changing. So think about this. Last year, this time, we probably would have been focused on new home construction at a price point of maybe above 2 million for a luxury product, especially waterfront, which is extremely desirable. And now it's more about connecting with realtors to help them with their clients that might need something completely different. Like maybe they're still going to purchase,
Yep.
but maybe they'll purchase something a little bit less in a neighborhood that they really desire, and they need a major remodel. Well, that's also what we do. So uh, we are not going to be nearly as effective just posting that different places as we would by partnering with realtors.
Sure.
And really fostering those relationships. So that's why they're so important.
When you came on to Gilk, and they obviously respected your experience and your expertise and thought that you would be a great ambassador for what they're trying to build, what was it about that marriage that worked for you? Was there a vision that was aligned as to where you guys wanted to take things?
Absolutely. My favorite book is The Four Agreements. Don't
It's a great
take
book.
it is a yeah. Don't take anything personally. Always do your best. Be
What up,
your
J
authentic-
Mac? Hey, man.
Hey.
Let me introduce
we
you to
have a
Jennifer
surprise?
real quick.
Hi.
Jennifer is with Gilk Custom Home Building.
Well, it is
And,
a pleasure.
You look very custom building.
It doesn't she? I mean, she
Do
she
I?
knows her builder stuff, J Mac. She knows her build. She used to be the president of TBBA.
That makes sense.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that I was able to finally turn in my black Brooks Brothers suit for something a little bit more
That's right. That should make
uplifting
you
and
feel good.
enjoyable.
Jason doesn't give out compliments very often, so it's good.
Well, I truly
I
appreciate
like
it.
to take them.
He does. He does.
Flattery gets you everywhere with this guy.
Thank you. And you have a beautiful space here,
Well,
and
thank
I
you so
appreciate
much.
it.
Good energy, right?
Yes,
No
very good
doubt.
energy.
No doubt.
And that's a perfect segue back to what we were talking about.
Yeah.
And it's the energy, it's the relationships. So
Mm-hmm.
the Four Agreements, I really take that to heart, and it has helped me immensely be my true authentic self.
Very cool.
So I walked into Gilk and I saw a lot of the same stuff. And it is all about relationships. And we're kind of an eclectic crew of people who have been successful individually, but collectively we're doing a lot of things differently. We're not afraid to, blow it up and start from scratch if something's not working. And so that's why I knew that this was a great opportunity. And I think that my background serves them well, but that this has been a tremendous experience and a learning experience for me as well that
Very
I
cool.
never would have gotten any other way.
For people who might not be familiar with Gilk and their
Mhm.
specific services, take a minute if you could and just explain, like, what your bread and butter is,
Yes.
what you're serving, what audience you want to serve,
Thank you.
and all of those good things.
Yeah. So Gilk Design Build, we kind of are a little bit unique in the fact that we do everything in-house. We are truly a one-stop shop. So what that really looks like is we have in-house architects, interior designers. We have general contractors. We all work together to provide a client with uh, helping them realize their vision for a truly luxurious custom home design experience. So
Okay.
we
Would you say your focus is luxury?
absolutely,
Is that a
yeah.
million plus, or is there a price point on that?
Yeah, there really is.
Yeah.
It fluctuates with the market. We're capable of doing a lot of things,
Sure.
but really what we specialize in is anything that is a challenge in the environment, or like we've done a lot of Hyde Park preservation, renovation projects. So we have a lot of attention to detail. We understand how important it is to provide quality and something that is timelessly designed so that it will last and safeguard on the most important investment that most people make by using materials and best practices to safeguard that, especially in this area where we have a lot of extreme weather. So
Yeah.
we do a lot of major remodels, and I'm not talking about kitchen and bath. That
Basically,
is
like
not
build-ups,
whole house
tear downs, and
remodels, major renovations and additions. Uh, that's really where you want a partner that can provide that architectural and interior design expertise.
Yep.
So I'd say our renovations are typically no less than $500,000,
Okay.
and our new construction is probably not going to be less than 1.5 million on your own lot.
Okay. And are you serving all of the Tampa Bay area?
We are
Hillsborough,
absolutely.
Pinellas, Pasco County, all three counties.
Yep.
Okay.
And again, if you're in an existing neighborhood, uh, then you've got a very different situation than on your own lot, infill, waterfront. We've got a project that we're doing in Riverside Heights. It's very complicated because of the terrain. So that's where you really want folks like us and our expertise. If you've got something that you're doing that isn't quite as complicated, then you're probably going to be better served. And by the way, you're probably going to be more price conscious. So just because those are things that we can do, we have relationships and vendors and suppliers that we use that might not be best suited for every new home construction or even every quote luxury new home construction.
Right.
The terms seem to be very, very widely used. So it's just like the two of us. If we were asked to describe a chair, we would have very different
Opinions on how what that
and,
looks like.
and luxury is no different. Custom is no different.
For sure.
Yep.
Are you guys developers as well? Do you buy land and then develop and work with an agent on the back end to sell the property, or do you generally only work with people who are bringing a lot to you?
We have not done anything with taking down lots yet.
Okay.
It's a very volatile market in that respect right now. There's a lot of supply, so I'm not saying that we would not be open to it, but the right opportunity has not presented itself. However, because we have an architect on staff and we do have the expertise on staff that we do, we have the ability to do a lot of co-marketing with realtors. And so if, for example, this is very applicable today because of what just happened with the 2024 storms. If a realtor has a client that has a piece of property and it's very difficult to sell for that high price that they want to get, and everybody wants to maximize their investment, of course, we can definitely co-market and present some renderings of what that lot can look like to a new home buyer that,
Okay.
that wants to build on that property. And unfortunately, because of the storms, and we have so many properties that are below sea level or one story, there's a lot of people that have been impacted. So
Totally.
we want to help those people as best we can. And that's not just for that segment of the community. We could do the same thing in places like Avila, for
Sure.
example, or an empty lot in Odessa.
Yep.
So
And that it sounds like that in general is how you work with most agents, in terms of an agent brings somebody to you who has a lot. They're obviously interested in building on it. That person, the owner obviously wants to get an architect to be able to lay out some
Yep.
designs. So that's generally how the relationship has worked on that front end. And do you also work with agents at all on like building a property and then hooking up with an agent to list it, or is that not really part of the business model right now?
we have done that.
Okay.
And I've only been on board a little bit less than a year, so I haven't run the gamut of every opportunity.
Yep.
But I will say this: I answer my phone; it's always right here on me. So
Whatever the needs are, you can at least
I
figure
mean,
it out, have a
it's
conversation.
worth a conversation, absolutely. And I don't I don't pretend to know it all. And I'd like to think I'm a little bit creative, but I'm a lobbyist at heart. So there's a lot more creativity out there than what's in my head. So
Makes sense.
I'm,
Do you still have any involvement with the TBBA? Do you do anything with them still?
I'm a member, and I can't help it. Yes, I do go to the governmental affairs meetings, and it's so
You're
hard.
addicted, huh?
I
One
love
of those.
it.
Once you're in there, it's hard to walk away.
I love it, and you'd be surprised. I'm so much fun at parties, especially when I talk about the industry. I mean, people just like, oh my gosh, please. Unless they're, they love it like I do.
Sure.
But yeah, I do. I'm still involved, and I still love the industry. I still love the people. I do not miss preparing for a board meeting. I do not miss preparing budgets, and I definitely don't miss the new board member orientations. I'm glad that those are behind me. That was a great experience, and I learned a lot from it. But I'm learning a lot now too.
With your time now at Gilk, where's most of your focus now? Is it on relationship development with
Absolutely.
agents and other
Yeah.
Other builders?
You are the center of my
potentially?
universe.
So
Yep.
okay, so basically just trying to connect, build relationships with a lot of the right people, and that's where
Exactly.
most of your energy is going right
Yeah.
now. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of marketing materials that have been developed just to tell our story and
Sure.
provide information to make it easier, so that realtors know what we're doing and how they can partner with us, and what their clients, like helping them tell the story to their clients, because it's not up to them to sell
Sure.
what we're doing. It's up to us.
For sure.
But I definitely want to make sure that, I'm connecting with people. And this is something that a mentor of mine told me a long time ago. And he's a very, very successful business man here in Tampa. People want to do business with who they want to have a beer with.
Sure.
And I don't drink beer, I drink wine, but I think the sentiment is the same. If you can connect with someone,
Absolutely.
then there's a good chance that you're going to do something together. And whatever that looks like is whatever that looks like.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And in many ways, that's really what our whole platform has been built on too, is trying to get as many of those people in the room together.
Yeah.
So that the relationships can actually be at least facilitated initially, and then it really goes from there. Like, people are going to do business with people that they vibe with, right?
Yep.
People that they connect with. So I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. And so if you were to try to call out the audience as far as like the perfect type, or I guess I would word it this way: what is one thing you would want agents specifically to know about Gilk that you think might be different than other custom home builders out there?
Yep.
And anything you feel like is important for them to be aware of, and in terms of what would it be like working with you guys?
So we are very transparent. And I just had this conversation with someone today, that we want to make sure that we can do a good job and deliver what we promise. So we're not going to take just anything. We can't do that. So because we have a design and we have interior designers, we have architects, but it truly is a design build firm.
Mm-hmm.
So the design comes first.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want our realtor partners to know from us is that if you choose to work with us and you give us an opportunity to gain your trust, we understand the importance of that. You're giving us a client. That is just as much your reputation as it is ours.
Sure.
So we value that relationship very much, and we want to make sure that we do a good job. So we're not going to say, yeah, we can design that house and we can bring you in if we don't have the manpower right now to do that. And
Yeah.
we'll be upfront and honest. And so
How many projects are you guys doing now? Do you know?
We are in various stages of about 10.
Okay.
And
do you know what your capacity is?
Yes, we do have more capacity. Right now, because of the storms, we have helped a lot of friends just put their homes back together.
Sure.
And so that has not really been our focus. That was just something that we did because we've all been impacted.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And of course, we have the expertise. Yes, we're going to do it. Absolutely. So because of that, and those projects are obviously starting to wind down a little bit, we do have capacity now to really go after more of what the market needs today. And I really believe that a lot of that is going to be more major remodels and new construction. And so that's what we're focused on right now, because our design team is fantastic, and it takes a little while to design that perfect home and get that ready to go into permitting and do the due diligence. And that is another thing that is unique about us that I've learned. In my role at TBB, I kind of thought that everybody did it the same way, like you knew what you were doing on a piece of property. It's not that way. Most people in the industry do it the exact opposite way. They get the client, they design the house, they get it ready to go to permitting, and then you figure out what you can do on the property by and large, which is, in my opinion, really cost prohibitive, because that means that you're more likely than not going to face some challenges, because then you find out what you can and can't do on your property.
Yeah, it seems a little backwards.
It does.
Like, you would think if they're getting the client first, they have to create certain expectations to secure that client, right? And then they might not be able to fulfill those expectations potentially.
Well, think about this. So we're sitting here in Tampa, and Tampa is a tree city. And I've spent many years on many tree canopy studies and being engaged in tree ordinances more than I care to remember. But if you live in the city of Tampa and you have an infill lot, especially if you're in South Tampa or in other areas where there's been a lot of redevelopment, you're going to be impacted by trees more than likely.
For sure.
So you want to make sure that whatever you're doing, there's a lot of grandfathered lots too, non-conforming lots. So just because you have a house on your property doesn't mean that you can tear it down and build another one.
Sure.
So you really want to make sure that by that very first or second meeting with a client, you know exactly. So we do all of our due diligence up front. And there hasn't been a lot of lots that I've looked at that I don't pretty much immediately know,
Yeah.
okay, this is going to be an issue. This is going to be an issue.
Yeah.
And we talk about that right up front so that we don't design a house and get it ready for permitting
And they can't fulfill it.
and then they can't fulfill it. That's
Yeah.
going to create a lot
That
of
makes a lot of
frustration.
sense to me.
Yeah.
And I would be surprised. I mean, if I'm the client, I would expect that up front, right? I want to know that the person actually has done some research and understands what's doable,
Right.
what's not, before they're starting to like pitch something or present something to me that they
Right.
might not even be able to actually fulfill.
And if you're a client, you're not necessarily going to understand that. As a matter of fact, how many times have you been surprised by something that you feel is in your wheelhouse, but you just not experienced it yet?
Sure.
I mean, it happens to me all the time.
Right.
So
Yeah. So it's also a good lesson for clients too, like what questions they should ask
yes,
a builder up front to make sure that has been done, and,
Yep.
and understanding what to look for
Absolutely.
So that's a cool point. I'm glad you brought that up.
And that's one of the reasons why I feel like it's very important to work with realtors, because we can really help them
Educate their clients on that too.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
it's not all on them. You know, we all like to have a little help.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense for sure. Is there a particular type of agent in any way that you love to work with or had a lot of success with, or does that not really matter as much?
Well, I mean, the realtors that I have relationships with, if something works, then we'll put it together. But as far as
Like an agent who specializes in a certain type of real estate at all, or
yeah, I mean, we certainly want
obviously
to.
luxury would make sense.
Yep,
Yeah.
luxury, certain neighborhoods. You know, if you work in uh, more of the affluent neighborhoods in the region, if you have a certain price point, if you have a certain type of home, single family is certainly going to be number one,
Yep.
right? We're not doing condos, so
Yeah, it's all single family.
absolutely,
Okay.
yep. And I like to work with realtors who have a little bit of creativity. We always learn from each other, so it's a
neat
fun
with
experience.
as you know, we do these MVP socials that we
Yes.
run monthly, and 2 months ago, no, I'm sorry, last month we did one in South Tampa at a custom home build. Gorgeous property. It was like 10,000 square feet, had a cascading pool in the middle of the house was built around the pool,
Oh wow!
and it had 3 floors with a nightclub that was built into the 3rd floor.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so they're actually the owners of it are turning it into a Airbnb, like a luxury Airbnb corporate retreat type of a thing.
Okay.
It's called the oh man, I mistake. It's on our website, on our Facebook page. You weren't there, were you, Rob? It's on the Facebook page. I'll have to get it to you. But it was called like the Escape or something like that. That wasn't the name of it. It was something else. They branded it though really well, and it was a beautiful property. But we've been trying to now with these MVP socials work with builders like yourself and a lot of agents, obviously, who have really kind of unique listings to spotlight those properties and also have a great time with the agents who love just walking around those types of homes and experiencing the design. So we have one coming up next Thursday in Reddington Beach, another beautiful waterfront property that an agent who we've had on the show, Bill Grammatica is his name. His brother Martin used to kick for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
So Bill's been on the show before, and he has that listing out there in Reddington Beach, and he reached out to me about wanting to put together a little event there. So, yeah, I mean, I think as a builder like yourself, like being able to see these different designs and whatnot that are out there from things that you guys have obviously done and things that you've looked at, I'm assuming there would be some inspiration maybe taken from that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And as you know, our company was co-founded by 2 former Bucks players.
Yep.
And it's interesting because not a lot of people realize how many people in the sports and entertainment industry transition to real estate.
Yeah.
But we're only number 2 to sportscasting.
Oh, wow.
I think we might be actually number 1.
You're right, though. There is a lot of people in the professional entertainment sports world who end up transitioning to real estate in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's a demonstration of creativity. So, and they're not afraid to think outside the box and do something a little bit daring. And we do have quite a bit of our client base that is within those 2 industries. And I think it's interesting because growing up in Tampa and not having a lot of diversification in housing product, to see what has come forward in the last 20 years and what is now possible, just because we are a much more affluent community and we kind of are on the roadmap. I mean,
yeah, for sure. Tampa Bay has grown up a lot in the last 20 years.
It really has. It's come into its own, and we've become sophisticated.
How about that?
Yeah, yeah. So
you fit the mold, Jennifer. You look very sophisticated. You know, you belong in Tampa Bay now. Me, not so much. Rob, definitely not. But Jennifer, you're a fit. You're a fit to the sophisticated realm of the market.
Well, thank you. I disagree. I think everybody's got their own type of sophistication.
Thank God. Thank God.
But I think that's interesting. I'd love to learn more about what different builders are doing. I mean,
yeah, and I was going to ask you about the style. Is there a particular style that you feel like Gilk is kind of landed on, or are you pretty diverse with the different styles that Gilk will build?
Well, that's a great question. Thank you for asking it, because I mean, if a client has a specific type of style, and most do, especially in those price points, uh, we absolutely will do that, and we can. But we also, our architect, Brennan, I have such respect for him. He's done everything from designing skyscrapers in California to his own, I would say, Frank Lloyd Wright-esque meets Tampa Bay meets functionality and sophistication all rolled into one.
Nice.
But I would say that's kind of our signature is kind of a blend. It's not Miami. It's not super coastal. It's not super modern. It's more of that quiet, timeless design that is
Timeless
very
elegance.
Exactly.
There you go.
That's a great word, elegance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we had talked too about possibly having a model home that you guys were going to go down the road. That doesn't exist yet, if I'm correct, right?
I think it's in the midst of being constructed as we speak.
Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that going to be in South Tampa?
We'll see.
Not sure yet. It's still yet to be released, huh?
Yeah.
Nice. Well, that's
Yeah.
cool. I look forward to that. Hopefully we could even host an event there one day. That would be awesome.
I would love that.
Yeah.
And it would be my honor to host you guys.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
So for people, again, who don't know you yet very well on the personal side, even though we've touched on your background a little bit with TBBA, I want to switch gears for just a few minutes and at least give people a little bit of insight about you.
Nope.
You mentioned you're married earlier. I think I can't remember if it was on camera or off camera, but you just got back from a trip to from the Caribbean. So you've been traveling, it sounds like, the world with your husband here, just experiencing different islands there in the Virgin Island area.
So my fiance and I, we haven't gotten married yet, although he likes to kid me that we've been engaged longer than we were dating. And, I don't say this to him, but, he was smart to put a ring on it.
I'm sure he was. Is there a date in the future, or that's yet to be determined?
We've toyed with different dates, but he and I both are in semi-new roles. Both of us have.
What's he do for work?
He is actually the president of Amerant Bank here in Tampa, which is housed within these walls of this particular office.
Yeah.
So
So you're familiar with this area?
Yeah, very.
And you're a member too of the Center Club, I believe, right? Upstairs.
We are.
Yeah.
Yes, we
Very
are.
cool.
Yep.
So a couple rapid fire questions for you.
Sure.
One is, do you have a favorite book, author, seminar that you've ever gone to that you feel like has made an impact on you personally or professionally?
Ooh, two. Favorite book is Four Agreements. I think we talked about that earlier. And years ago, when the market was in terrible shape and associations were going to the wayside, I attended a seminar that focused on the Disney experience. And that was extremely profound. And it's not exactly like you wouldn't expect, but it is offer people the Disney experience. They can
it's neat.
They can put their money wherever they want to, and you're never going to be able to provide something that is so unique that people have to have it. So
yeah, I love that. So the event you went to was basically about like that uniqueness of branding and how to be able to start positioning yourself in a certain way.
Branding, the experience. For example, they showed a picture of Epcot, during the Food and Wine Festival with all the beautiful flowers and things like that. And you saw a piece of trash, and it was just sitting there. And people commented on it, how long the piece of trash would be sitting there. And Disney takes a lot of pride in making sure that the expectations are exceeded. So that piece of trash stayed there for literally less than a minute.
I believe it.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So
they are masters of creating experiences.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. And it's more about the experience.
And traffic.
And traffic, of course. There's always the traffic.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's a certain part of the experience.
It is.
Without a doubt. But my wife is a big Disney nut, and we take the kid. We have the annual passes, so we do take the kids regularly.
I don't have children, so I don't want to be that weirdo. So I'm happy to go with you and your children and ride the rides and do the experience. I love Disney as well. At 48
It is
years
interesting,
old, I
though,
don't
how
care.
with the amount of times we've gone, you can make it a different experience every time.
You really can.
Yeah, for sure. There's
Yeah.
enough different things you can do to look at, and many times even just experiencing the same ride can come across as a different experience, right?
Absolutely.
But yeah, you're right. They are masters of just the environment and creating the feeling of the happiest place on earth, right? That's how they promote it. So that's cool. I haven't heard that before. That's an interesting event. I'll have to you have to figure out the name of that and let me know what it is, because I'd be interested in checking it out.
Yeah, I will
I
find
wonder
it.
if they still run it.
I wonder. Yeah, it's a good question.
Do you have a favorite movie or TV show?
This will surprise you.
Okay.
Favorite movie? Smokey and the Bandit.
Really? That does surprise me.
I bet. Yep.
Classic, though.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. As a matter of fact, when we were in St. Martin, it was my birthday, and we rented a boat to tour us around all day and appropriately named the Bandit. I was like, well, this is serendipity.
Fitting.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Absolutely.
You're the first person on the show who said Smokey the Bandit. That's
It's a
the
good-
first answer.
it's a good-
Absolutely.
it's a good
Unique.
movie.
Very unique, right?
Yeah.
Right, Rob? Already.
Yeah.
All right. Give me one thing other than the travel, which I know you already mentioned, but what do you and your fiance love to do for fun when you're just kind of entertaining or trying to get out of work mode? What floats your boat in the area?
I love to entertain, and he loves sports, and I smile and nod as he's quoting sports stats. And
I think him and I would get along really well. I'm a
yeah,
big sports
yes, you
fan
would.
myself.
Yes. So, like tomorrow is the Kentucky Derby, and
Have you ever been?
we actually did go a couple of
Nice.
years ago,
Nice.
and
It's on my list too. I have not.
well, he spent Dawn, so many hours looking at all the stats. And you know what? While he was doing that, I met the owners of Mage.
Oh, wow.
And I decided, because it was such a cool family and I loved the vibe, so I bet on Mage, and I thought it was Maggie.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. And
Pulled off, huh?
I won. And
That's
you know
exciting.
what? He didn't, but it's all in the family, so it works. Yeah.
Sounds like he's a big horse guy.
He is a big fan of basically every sport. So horse.
Talk about experiences.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool one too. I have
It
cousins
was.
I have a cousin who's a doctor in South Carolina, and he takes his wife every year, and they get to dress up and wear the fancy hats
Yep.
and the mint juleps and the whole nine.
I
Or-
hope we'll be
all that
back
fun stuff.
next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely want to go, even if it's with them one of these years, just to make it happen.
It's a
That'd be
great
fun.
experience.
Did you get to
Nothing
wear
like
a
it.
fancy hat?
Oh,
Of course, right?
of course.
Why bother asking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It's become really popular in pop culture too. Like a lot of like modern day artists.
Oh, for sure.
rappers go to it, rockers go to
I'm sure it's not a cheap ticket anymore. That's for sure.
I bet not.
But that place is huge. It holds like 150,000 people, I think, something like
I
that.
think it's the most. I think it's the biggest sporting event in the United States. There's hundreds of thousands of people that go.
Yeah, just the infield alone, I think, is
exactly.
like a couple 100,000 people just
Yep.
partying in the infield, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth a shot. Worth to go check it
Absolutely.
out sometime.
But if you can't go to the Derby, then we can definitely experience a football game or a baseball game.
Absolutely.
I will be the one talking, and you guys will be the ones actually watching.
Enjoying the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did
Yeah.
get to go to the Bucks playoff game last year, which
Did
was
you?
they didn't win, unfortunately, but
No.
it was a great experience. It was
Yeah.
a fun game. Tight game. They blew it at the end, but that's a whole other conversation.
Hey, but we still love our Bucks, don't
They
we?
do. They do. They played really well last year. So Baker will be back. This will be another year for them to battle it
That's
out. We'll
right.
see what happens.
That's right.
Well, we're going to put a bow on the episode, and I'm glad that we were able to have you on and dive into Gilk, because we haven't really had anybody in your space on the show. So I'm
Wow.
glad to be able to dig into that a little bit
Thank
and
you.
help our audience see kind of the diversity of the different partners that we have here with Tampa Bay Road Producers, for sure. So, if an agent or anybody just wanted to reach out to you and pick your brain a little bit more,
I'd love
maybe
that.
they have a buyer that they want to get a design on, or just talk more about Gilk, what's the best way for someone to reach you?
Well, it's interesting because I did have a realtor reach out to me, and we were having coffee on Monday. So I'm very easy to get a hold of through social media, but you can always reach me on my cell phone, and you can always
You can
reach
throw
me
the
if
number out if you want.
Okay. Well, everybody else has got it. So it's 813-434-5444. 5027. And
you go.
again, it's right here all the time. So
We'll throw it on the description
yeah,
thing if you want,
thank
so that
you.
agents can connect and whatnot.
Absolutely.
I guess the website is at gilk.com.
Yes.
Cool.
Yep.
So they can always find more information about Gilk there as well.
Yep.
And so the last question I have as we wrap this up is, I always call this the legacy question. So hopefully many, many years from now, when you're sitting on that rocking chair, Jennifer, and looking back upon your legacy, right, and what you'd want to be most remembered for, what do you think, personally or professionally, what do you think would matter most to you about what you'd want to be most remembered for?
So what I don't want to be remembered for is my work or defined by what I accomplished. I'd rather be remembered for who I am, my connections. Hopefully, I've been able to impart some sort of positive, light experience. That's really what it's all about, is relationships and connectivity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen. So we appreciate you, of course, as a partner with Real Producers, and hope we can continue to work with you guys in the relationship space and be able to make as many great connections as we can with the agents that are part of our community. We're going to wrap up this episode with a challenge to the audience, the way we always do, and that is that if you're watching on live, Facebook, YouTube, or listening on any of the 15 plus podcast platforms that we distribute to, what is one action step that you can take today based on our conversation with Jennifer that would help propel you forward and make the time that you invested in listening to this episode worth it? Ultimately, I'm a big believer in taking action. And even if it's just one little thing, it could be just reaching out, right, to Jennifer and having a coffee meeting and learning a little bit more about how maybe you're an agent who knows you have buyers on in your network who occasionally are interested in custom home builds or are buying lots. And it would be great to have a company like Gilk in your back pocket as a partner, right? And so that could be an action step. Maybe you need a little bit more research on the type of people that are out there that are interested in the luxury custom build space, so that if you're not yet in that world as an agent, but you want to be, you can start to learn how to network and how to get into that world by using our conversation today as a barometer of where to go. Maybe you got to pick up the book, The Four Agreements, and start there, but or the movie Smokey and the Bandit, right? Whatever it might be, but do something, right? Take action on one thing that'll help propel you forward, so that way the time you invested was worth it. As always, check us out at topproducersnation.com so you can see the online community that we have in place to help you as an agent be a top producer in your desired market, including coaching, courses. We have a lot of great new things that we're excited about that are going to be releasing shortly to help support you as an agent in your journey of being a consistent top producer in your desired market. And you can find all that at topproducersnation.com. You can click the button below here and you'll be able to see that. And lastly, if you don't subscribe yet to the podcast, just click the button to subscribe. That way you'll be notified every time we drop a new episode, which does happen weekly with our current setup. And we love you guys. All your support is well appreciated. And we will see you, of course, on the next episode of the Top Producers Nation podcast. We'll see you then.